And good morning in another exciting and for multiple reasons edition of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show here live on WEOL.com along with the Chronicle Telegram YouTube page. In this week's edition of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show live on WEOL.com and that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel brought to you by Nick Abraham Buick GMC and Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, Route 57 and East Broad Street in Elyria. Lorain County Community College, real education for good jobs. The Lorain Medina Rural Electrical Cooperative, your touchdown energy partner, and by EcoTree Services, your complete tree care company. A very good Saturday morning. The weather, chilly, maybe some blowing snow out there, but not quite as bad as we were promised yesterday. That could change throughout the afternoon and certainly throughout the course of your weekend. But Craig Couch, along with Jared Kozar here in the Rob Polinsky Emeritus Studios here at the Chronicle Telegram.
I was wondering how you were going to handle
that. Yes, it's not Memorial. Certainly we don't wish anything like that to our friend Rob. But yes, the Emeritus Studios here at the Chronicle Telegram. And Craig, a busy night last night in terms of what goes on. You know, it's the second week of December here, and we're in full swing in terms of what we can talk about in terms of high school basketball here around Lorain County. And, a busy night throughout most of it. I think the only teams not in action last night locally were North Ridgeville and Avon. Avon certainly due to, getting some guys back that were on that football team. Congratulations again to Mike Elder, his second consecutive state championship team over at Avon, captured 8 days ago on a Thursday night over there at Tom Benson Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, all the non-conference games are out of the way, and we're getting into conference play, which is exciting. And last night we had an SWC matchup right here on WEOL.com and the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel, and it was at Midview High School, which is a great place to call a basketball game, as you know, Jared. And, we had a game between Avon Lake and the Midview Middies. Avon Lake looking for their first win of the season. They came into the ball game last night 0-4. Midview was 1-2 on the season. And, we thought that we would have a close game. And it was a close game for the first half. It was also a very low-scoring game in the first half. But in the second half, Avon Lake came out of the locker room looking like a different team. And we'll talk more about that when Coach TJ Kwasniak joins us a little bit later on in the show. But 52-40 was the final in that ball game. So Avon Lake getting their SWC season off to a good start, going now 1-0, picking up that victory on the road over the Middies.
Craig, you had that ball game, and certainly we talked about other scores in the SWC as we bring you the scores here throughout the Lorain County area last night. Why don't you go ahead and run with those scores in the Southwestern Conference?
Yeah, Amherst getting a huge win. So congratulations to Pat Bray. We hope to talk to him a little bit later on in the show. Amherst picking up a win over Berea Mid-Park. Of course, Berea Mid-Park was a tremendous team last year, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be a tremendous team this year unless players transferred or they're playing with some guys that aren't in a lineup due to injury or whatever reason. But they had an amazing team last year, very young, and I remember the two of us calling the SWC championship last year at Elyria High, I believe it was,
yes,
between Berea Mid-Park and Elyria. And Elyria had a big lead the whole game last year in that championship battle. And Berea Mid-Park came back to tie it up in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was one of the best games that I've ever seen, one of the best games I've ever called. And, an instant WEOL classic. And Elyria, of course, got the win as they put the ball into Jaden Crutcher's hands, and he did what he did and was able to get a layup, collect a foul, and that was the end of it. But Berea Mid-Park was a young team last year. They're going to still be a young team this year, but they go down to Amherst 73-68. So congratulations to the Comets and Pat Bray. Falls picking up a win over Elyria. That's another statement win. It's so early in the season, you kind of hesitate to call these games statement wins. It's the first game of conference play, but those are two statement wins, in my opinion. Amherst beating Berea Mid-Park, and then Eau Falls picking up a win over Elyria, who won the SWC last year. So Eau Falls victorious over the Pioneers, 76-63.
Yeah, we'll catch up with Olmsted Falls Bulldogs head coach Chris Delisio on the other side of this break. They'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on that contest. Elsewhere in the Lorain County League, Columbia a winner over Firelands last night, 48-39. Josh Sharf will join us later on this hour. It was Brookside, boy, hanging nearly 100 points on an Oberlin Phoenix team, 96-70. Larry Babbicks will join us at 9:50 this morning. Keystone gets the better of Clearview by a score of 82-45. Jeff Holzhauer will catch up with us in about a half an hour from right now, and Black River edges out Wellington 49-40.
Other action last night. You mentioned that Brookside game, 96 points.
Right.
Classic Larry Babick score right there.
A lot of firepower.
Right? A lot of firepower. EC, they hung 92 on Holy Name. So EC picks up a win over Holy Name, 92-65. Brunswick with a win over Lorain, 69-53.
Tough sledding for Lorain in their new conference. There's going to be some growing pains that they'll figure out, but it's just really tough for Matt Killian right now and company to get on track, trying to figure it out again. A new conference is not treating the Titans well so far in the young campaign here, 2025-2026. Elsewhere, girls hoops last night. We had a matchup for Vermilion and Port Clinton, and the Lady Sailors get in the left-hand column with a W, 42-29, victorious over Port Clinton. Today on WEOL.com and, of course, the CT YouTube channel, you're going to get girls basketball action with a different start, noon. So we're only going to go till 10:30 today here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show due to that noon start, and that'll be Wellington taking on Brookside over Brookside this afternoon. I'll be joined by Jed Matcham when I make my over to Brookside later this afternoon, a former colleague of yours at our sister station, WLKR.
Yeah, I was mentioning the broadcast team last night for that game. You, Jed, and Pelt. And I said, that doesn't sound like a law firm. That sounds like a 1986 NWA Mid-Atlantic
six-man tag
team champion.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what that sounds
I'll take
like.
that right there.
That sounds like a wrecking crew if I've ever heard of one.
Or the guys that got wrecked by Dusty Rhodes, Barry Windham, and who else? Whoever Dusty had as his partners that week.
Right.
Those guys that came in to take the beating.
Right.
So that's probably us more so than the wrecking crew.
Oh, okay. But so you were the jobbers, not the guys winning.
We look good doing it, I think. So
gotcha.
Speaking of looking good, we're looking good here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Maybe not on the YouTube channel, but we're looking good in terms of what we have lined up, because we're going to catch up with Chris Delisio of the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs on the other side of this break. And again, Craig, you mentioned that Elyria back-to-back SWC champs, and the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs said, no, that might be later this season. We don't know, but tonight is our night with a 13-point victory over a really, really good Elyria team. We're going to get Chris's thoughts on the other side of the break. Stick around. It is the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, and it's broadcasting live on the CT YouTube channel along with WEOL.com.
At Nick Abraham Buick GMC, we offer the greatest customer experience around, plus upfront, no haggle pricing and great deals. Right now, lease the 2025 GMC Sierra for just $339 a month. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. We've helped thousands of people just like you match skills and experience with a career. We can help you train for a career that is in demand right now. You can even work in your field while taking classes. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy. This month, get 0% on all 2025 Ford F-150s, including Lightning, regular cabs, super cabs, and Super Duties, plus all Explorers and Escapes. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
And welcome back into the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show with Jared Kozar along with Craig Couch, now joined by Olmsted Falls Bulldogs head coach Chris Delisio. Chris, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Hopefully you're liking the new format. Certainly always good to catch up with you on a Saturday morning. Dating back to when we saw your team at the DeFranco Classic, you took on a very good Keystone team that was back and forth throughout the entire contest. Tim Alcorn, voice of the Cavaliers, and certainly WEOL alumnus. He and I talked throughout that broadcast about, kind of just the way the SWC is constructed and about this matchup in general and how we have it circled every year. We actually have the rematch. I think that's the last day of January over at Elyria. We always have that circled as a game we like, just because we like seeing you guys lock up, you and Elyria. And last night, you guys really, as Craig said earlier in our program, made a statement with a 76-63 victory over the Pioneers.
Yeah, we were fortunate to play well. Obviously, we knew going in that Elyria was just like loaded, and we knew we had our work cut out for us. So, early on, we had to really handle their pressure. And I mean, really the whole game, you got to handle their pressure. They do a great job of really putting you in uncomfortable situations. And our guys, we had a few missteps, especially in the first half, but we kind of settled down after halftime. So I think our guys did a great job.
Having seen your teams, for the past, we'll call it 2 seasons, really a very successful campaign last year, Chris, and certainly, a lot of expectations of what you have. One thing you don't have is a ton of size. How did you throw that back against Elyria last night and negate some of the size advantage they might have had inside?
Yeah, we have to kind of make sure we do it with a little bit more toughness and, with some of our smaller guys, they just have to be tough and they have to take some of those matchups and try to move those guys outside of the paint and things like that. And, it's easier said than done, especially with guys like Kendall Compton out there. And, they do a great job of getting him near the rim. So, we just ask our guys to be tough and smart and do some things schematically that we try to do to get the thing out of there. So we did a decent job of it last night.
Chris, it's Craig. A couple quick questions from me. First of all, I did mention that I thought that this was a statement win. I also mentioned that I thought Amherst picking up a win over Berea Mid-Park, given how good Berea Mid-Park was last year, was a statement win. So question number 1, is it too early to have a statement win? In my opinion, these were statement wins, but it's the first game of the SWC season. So can you have a statement win in the first week of the SWC season?
I mean, it sounds good, but it's, I think our conference is just so difficult that they're all going to be tough games. And anytime you can win a game, you're just happy. And I don't care who it is. There's no, you could lose 7 in a row in this conference with the teams that we have and the coaches that we have. So it's certainly nice to beat, teams that are, projected near the top and things like that. But, that you could go out the next game and lose right away because there's just so many tough games and, it's a physical battle every night. So it's exciting win, but it's 1-0 and we got 13 more to go. And that's a lot of really tough games coming up.
My other question, Coach, every team has a different style. Not everybody plays the exact same way. Some like to get up and down the floor, just see how many points they can put on the board. Others rely on their defense. So what was your week of practice like, knowing that you had the Pioneers coming up? And what's the week of practice going to look like for, your game this coming Friday or maybe it's Tuesday? I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, we always are kind of like, we're going to focus on doing what we do as a program. Obviously we are typically going to press teams and things like that, but we also are willing to adjust a little bit depending on the team or how the game's going. And last night we opened up pressing Elyria, and it was fine. I wouldn't say it was great or really caused them, many problems. And then we picked up a little bit of foul trouble. So we kind of backed it off in the second half, and just played more half court. So I give our guys credit, they do have the ability to adjust, to different, styles or even game plans. And I think the same thing for every game moving forward. I think we kind of like have our identity, but we also have the ability to kind of adjust either in game or, per game based on who we're playing against and what their strengths are.
Coach, could you talk a little bit about some of the players that contributed to that win last night? Some of the guys that came through for you?
Yeah, Chris Ten and Mason Saravac both, did a great job of getting to the rim, which, you need to do against Elyria because they just do such a great job defensively of trying to pressure you, and it's really hard to deal with. So having guys like that are able to create those scoring opportunities is obviously important. Sophomore Keegan Smith last night was just outstanding, had kind of his best game of his, short varsity career. But he just did a lot of dirty work for us, knocked down a big three, offensive rebound. He's just a kid that's such a team guy and is willing to do anything to help us win. And then we had really solid contributions. Logan Conley is always solid for us, and he just kind of controls the game for us as our point guard. And then, guys like Angelo Longo and Connor Lehman off the bench, these guys really just kind of unsung heroes to be able to handle Elyria's pressure, not turn the ball over. You can't really win without those guys who, don't light it up on the scoreboard, but man, they do a lot of good stuff to help our basketball team.
We're joined by Chris Delicio with the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs. And, just to your point, Chris, about identity and about structure, at what point do you just kind of look at that and say, well, it's not just on the basketball floor, but really across multiple platforms of athletics at Olmsted Falls, being it football, obviously the girls program and what they've accomplished there, in terms of girls basketball, it goes without saying that's going the right direction. You've been a rock of stability there for the boys program for a number of years, to the point where, Craig and I were talking off air. You and Brett Larrick, hard to believe, are the senior statesmen now in the SWC. But just I guess it might be easy to identify where that comes from in terms of the passion and the commitment that the community has. But just talk about the impact maybe you and your staff have on that too.
Well, we hope we do. We hope that we kind of have the mentality of we talk a lot about being a Bulldog and what it means to be from Olmsted Falls. And obviously as an alumni and a graduate that, went through the program, I think that, it's easy for me to talk about and the things that I think that we've always been as a community. We have a great supportive community that kind of prides itself on like hardworking kids and, great people. And I think that I'm proud when our guys put that on the basketball floor, when that's like who they are on the basketball court. I think that says a lot about them and our community and things like that. So, I think across all sports and across all, programs, I think we really try to instill those team and toughness, traits and, the stuff that works when you leave high school.
Well, Chris, it's good catching up with you, and certainly, I think what you guys are talking about as far as statement wins, maybe it might be too early to that, but this is coaching cliche, I'm sure, but I think it maybe translates. You can't win the conference in the second week of the season. You can't really lose it either, but I think you can set the tone for what's expected, and, we expect one heck of a matchup when probably the next time we see your ball club's going to be over at Elyria, 6 weeks from now. And, boy, the tough and tumble, rugged road to get there as far as the SWC is concerned should be interesting. But until we chat again, hopefully we get you before Christmas. If not, all the best to you and your family and everybody over there in Bulldog Country this Christmas season, Chris.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Same to you. And, I appreciate that term elder statesman used for Brett and I. That was a nice way to say getting older.
Seasoned.
Yeah. Good. Take care, guys.
I like
Veteran coaches.
Take care, Chris. Have a good one. We'll catch up with you in the weeks to come, I'm sure. Speaking of catching up, we're going to catch up with Josh Scharf of the Columbia Raiders, his team with a 48-39 victory over Firelands yesterday evening. That's coming up next. Stick around. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, and it's on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel along with WEOL.com.
Lorraine Medina Rural Electric offers a quick and easy way to pay bills online, monitor your daily electric use, and receive updates from your cooperative through SmartHub. Members can sign up for this service at www.lmre.org or contact the LMRE office at 440-647-2133 for more information.
At Nick Abraham Buick GMC, we offer the greatest customer experience around, plus upfront, no haggle pricing and great deals. Right now, lease the 2025 GMC Sierra for just $339 a month. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
And welcome back to the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Jared Kozar along with Craig Couch, and joined now by victorious head coach of the Columbia Raiders, Josh Sharf. And Coach, good morning. Welcome to the program. Getting my first chance to talk with you here for the 2025-26 campaign. And, Craig and I were talking before the program began that, Columbia Firelands 48-39. That sounds like a mid-December type score on a Friday night in the Lorain County League, just trying to get going. And maybe it was tougher to get to that 48 tally than we might think. I think Coach Sharf is getting another headphone apparatus set up there. You got us, Coach.
I
think
guess
he might be reconnecting. Yeah, but we had him. I think we're going to get him back here, but I think he's reconnecting. But, once again, Craig, just talking about, a busy night, the whole Lorain County League in action last night. And we've got Coach Sharf back. And we got you now, Coach?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I can hear you now.
Yeah. IT professional, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And coming off that 48-39 victory over Firelands last night. And Craig and I were just talking that score seems indicative of kind of the night, the weather, and, the middle of December that you feel when points might be tough to come by, but your guys did enough to get the win last night.
Absolutely. Our guys played really hard last night. Firelands is a good basketball team. They're big, their size gave us some issues, so our game plan was to go end line to end line last night against them. And, in the first quarter, we did that. And then we had three starters get 2 fouls early. So, we had to go to some of our younger guys who were really resilient last night. Ryan Smith hasn't played a whole lot of varsity for us yet. Now, he played the whole second quarter for us last night. And, man, he was huge for us last night. So, props to him for stepping up and filling that hole for us last night, and Dylan Fisher was incredible in the first half last night, and he was on the floor being the general. Logan had 2, Jack had 2, Ambrose had 2, so Dylan kind of had to take over in the first half, and he did an incredible job. And then, the whole team just rallied around the second half. And, we defended really well. We were worried about their post presence. Fortner's just a stud. That kid can play, man. So we were doubling him every time he touched the ball. And, you're right. We didn't score a whole lot. We missed a ton of layups early, but the kids battled, and that's all we can ask for.
You talk about that, and Aiden Fortner is certainly a guy that is a load to handle. You guys kept him in check for the most part. We're able to emerge victorious on the scoreboard. He's a guy, Coach, that I always get the impression everybody plays around and up to the level of his energy. When they see his confidence go up, he elevates the play of his teammates around him, and he can rile up a crowd too. So that's no small feat to say that you were able to kind of circumvent that energy.
Right, absolutely. Our kids were up to the challenge last night. Ambrose did a great job on him early. And he got in some foul trouble, and then Ryan was guarding him, and even Dylan Fisher had to guard him last night. It's a team effort when you got to play against a player of his caliber. So proud of the effort and proud of the resiliency of our group.
Coach, what is the identity of your basketball team? It might be early to have an identity, but the kids, you've seen them in practice leading up to this point. Do you feel like you have an identity? Is defense your identity? Because I tell you what, to hold anybody to 39 points, good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. It's a varsity basketball team. It's a conference foe. You held them to 39 points. That tells me that you've got a pretty good defensive team.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. This is a team that really needs to defend the ball really well, defend the floor really well, and get out and play in transition. And I think since I've been head coach, that's kind of been our identity. We've been more of a pack line team. This year we're trying to pressure a lot more, get up and down a lot more. So, I think it's a gritty group. It's a resilient group, and I think our identity is definitely defined on the defensive end of the floor.
Coach, you mentioned a couple names, and one of the ones that sticks out to me, and this might just be football recency, but you've got a lot of guys that came over and were contributors on the football team that now help out the basketball team. Ambrose Beach is a name that I feel like we've said for the past 6 or 7 years.
Right.
Talking about Columbia athletics, and he's not even close to that in terms of his eligibility. Just a guy that's contributed really big time for you guys at a couple of different sports and different levels since he was a freshman.
Yeah, absolutely. Ambrose is just a really good athlete. He's a rugby star. He's football. And he's a really good basketball player. So we're lucky to have a kid like that. And I mean, he just battles. And he doesn't back down from any challenge. And he's the type of kid that just brings the energy and raises the talent level of everybody around him. So we're blessed to have him. We got him for another year, and I think last year was a disappointing year for him. He was injured a lot last year.
Yeah.
So he never really got that run early in the season, and he's been huge for us the first 2 games. I think he was the leading scorer in both those games, and people are starting to key on him now, which is opening things up for Dylan and for Logan and some of our shooters. So. It's a really, this group, man. I tell you, I talked to the radio last night. It's a group that really plays for each other. They're celebrating each other's successes, which is huge for me. And I'm a team guy, and everything's we and us. And for the kids to buy into that mentality this year more than more recent years is fun to watch. The energy in the gym, the energy in practices. It's great. It's we're 10 deep. And they all cheer for each other. They all battle each other in practice, and they're making each other better every day, which is great.
Coach, real quick, if you can, before you have to go, could you talk a little bit about the LC8 and how you think that's going to shape up this year?
I mean, it's a tough league to play in. Everybody, Larry and I talk about it all the time. You can't take a night off. You'll lose if you don't show up to play. You're going to lose against any of the teams in our conference. You look at Brookside, who's won it 3 years in a row, Keystone, who shared it last year. I mean, those two are the ones that we're all looking up to, and ours are measuring stick games, and I think Firelands, Clearview, Black River, Oberlin, all good, Wellington, all good teams. There's not a team in this conference that isn't tough to play. And, like I said, if you're not ready to play on any given night, they're going to knock you off. So it was a good conference win for us last night. We've got a tough challenge Tuesday when Keystone comes to our gym. So,
yeah.
There's no off nights in this conference.
Yeah, we're certainly looking forward to that matchup. And as you mentioned, it just seems like maybe it's just because of what's gone on the last 3 years that everybody looks at like, Brookside and Keystone, those are the ones to beat in that conference. But it always seems that you guys and Firelands and even Kurt's teams over at Oberlin have a say in that in the second half of the year. So that speaks volumes about the level of, the competitive nature of that conference in terms of, certainly some teams get out to a fast start and, they put some distance between you guys, but you're definitely able to be there at the end. Each and every year, you guys are always there when we talk about February basketball meaning something. So that's a really good thing. And we're happy about that. And just good to catch up with you on a Saturday morning, Coach. And sure, the conversations to be had as the season rolls along. But thanks for reconnecting with us. We appreciate your effort on that front. And just maybe tell us a little bit about your week ahead before we let you go and what that looks like for Columbia.
Yeah, I mean, 2 more tough conference games. Tuesday we have Keystone coming to town. Friday we go to Oberlin, and then we close out the pre-holiday schedule going to Midview on next week. So 3 tough games. We're not looking ahead at anybody. On Tuesday, the next one up, so we got to get ready for Keystone starting tomorrow night at practice, and handle that 1-2-2. It's going to be tough. And that's a really good basketball team. So our guys are looking forward to the challenge, and we'll see what we can do.
Certainly is. You get them at your place, and you like to at least have that home court advantage, because it certainly is once that stage over at Columbia gets rocking, and it will be Tuesday night.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We appreciate you. Josh Scharf with the Columbia Raiders and his team coming off of a conference win over the Firelands Falcons last night. Stick around. We're going to talk to a relative newcomer to the area, but not to high school basketball in any way, shape, or form as TJ Kwasniak with the Avon Lake Shoremen makes his first appearance on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. It's all coming up next. Stick around.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, Cavs radio voice. Recently, we had some trees removed. So again, singing the praises of EcoTree Services. In a few hours, EcoTree had removed the unsightly trees, cleaned the debris, and opened the area for a new fence. I can't say enough good things about the people at EcoTree. I've used them several times, always thrilled with their work. If you have trees that require pruning or need to be removed, contact EcoTree, a local business that deserves your business. They've earned mine. Go to ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy. This month, get 0% on all 2025 Ford F-150s, including Lightning, regular cabs, super cabs, and Super Duties, plus all Explorers and Escapes. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
And welcome back to the Nick Abraham Saturday Morning Sports Wrap-Up Show. Jared Kozar, along with Greg Couch, an abbreviated program this morning, will be on until 10:30. Reason being, Brookside and Wellington girls basketball this afternoon online at WEOL.com and the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. That one getting underway at noon. It was originally scheduled to be a little bit later in the day. Guess they want to get ahead of the weather, maybe? Could be. We're expecting what the forecasters call, the meteorologists, widespread snowfall in our area throughout the afternoon, evening, and then right on into Sunday. So maybe the best spot to be is dialed in with us right now. Speaking of dialed in with us, first year Avon Lake Shoreman head coach TJ Kwasniak joins us. Coach, good morning and welcome to the program. First time we've had you on. Craig got to see your game last night over at Midview, and tremendous win, 52-40.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Coach, big win for you because you are the new head coach over there at Avon Lake, and you were looking for your first win of the season. You've played some tough teams, but you came into the game 0-4, again, hungry for that first win, and you happened to get it against an SWC team. Never a problem, never anything wrong with getting a win in the SWC. It's a tough conference, as you know, but talk a little bit about your effort last night against Midview in that 52-40 win.
Yeah, Craig, and we talked about it before the season, how tough our especially our first three games were. And those teams are 9-0 right now. If you look at it, no one else has really come close to them. So it was a tough stretch, but we used it as like a Cleveland State getting ready for the Big Ten, or playing against the Big Ten, getting ready for the Horizon. Those teams would probably be the top of our conference. So we hope it would get a little easier once we got in the conference. There's just so much parity in the SWC. Yeah, I think you saw Olmsted Falls beat Elyria last night. Every game. I think Lorain beat Midview. And those were the top two teams preseason in our conference. Every game is just a battle. If you walk out of, especially on the road, you walk out of the SWC on the road with a win, you got to be happy.
Well, and to your point, Coach, Amherst getting a win over Berea Mid-Park last night. Berea Mid-Park was a tremendous team last year. First place in the SWC with Elyria going into the last game of the regular season. Another great basketball team that started off their SWC schedule with a loss. I'm sure they're going to bounce back from that. But let's talk about your game specifically. Coach, I have to put it this way. You guys looked like a different team in the second half. I don't know how else to explain it, but the first half, both teams walked the ball up and down the floor, and then you guys came out of the locker room, and you were a different team in the second half. What happened in that locker room at halftime?
I told them at halftime that we didn't take one bad shot. We had wide open looks, and we just weren't making them, and said they'll start falling, and they did. Our big thing was defense. We came in last year, we gave up 73 points a game, which just isn't a recipe for success. We've really been concentrating on that. We came in, we knew we had to stop Young. We knew we had to stop Jockle. We held them both, way under their averages. Young was averaging 20. He scored 10. Jockle was under 10. That was our recipe. We've probably spent a lot of energy on stopping those two. They're very good players. Probably hurt our offense a little bit, but at the end of the day, we knew that was the recipe for our victory.
Well, and Jocko wasn't even able to get off too many shots, honestly. And I thought that was interesting because last year he was such a big part of Midview's offense. He sank over, I forget the exact statistic, but it was something like 70 plus threes throughout the course of the season. I don't know how many he took last night, but it was definitely below last year's season average. And I think he made 1 or 2. That's it. And that was a little surprising to see. You thought you were going to get 2 things from Midview. You were going to get Young on the inside and you were going to get Jocko on the outside. Well, you got a pretty heavy dose of Young on the inside, and your guys did a terrific job. He got sent. He went to the free throw line and made some free throws, but they weren't 3-point plays because he wasn't able to, connect on the shot. So kudos to your guys on the interior defensive effort, which I know that was one of the things that you had written down as a key going into that ball game.
Yeah, you got to credit Ezra Jones. He fought through every screen on Jocko. Like you said, he just wouldn't let him get a shot off, and that's what we told him before the game. Said limit his shots. We don't even want him to shoot it. It's not good enough to make him miss. We don't want to see the result. Don't even let him attempt it. And I thought he did a fantastic job. Never took a break, just kept fighting. And then Tucker Budzar, our 6'6" senior, I thought he did a phenomenal job on Young. They're looking to get him the ball every time. And it seems like you guys felt the same way I did. I went to the scorebook. I'm like, what did he have? 20, 15? You looked at it, he had 10. So as much of a threat as he is, our guy did a phenomenal job on him. And he put both of our big guys in foul trouble. We're lucky enough that we have, Chris Gaulding, 6'4" freshman that we could bring off the bench. I don't know if there's many guys that have 2 guys that could get in his way. We're just very fortunate that the matchup works out for us because he's a tough draw. He's hard to stop in there.
Well, you do have several guys that could put the ball in the basket, and some teams rely on 1 or 2 players, but you have several kids that can help you out on any given night. And who's to say who will be the player at the end of each game with the most points? It could be one of anybody on your roster.
Yeah, and I think even coming off the bench, we got J.J. Bradley, Chris Gaulding, Jeff Ball. All those guys could get 10 points. That's kind of the balance we try to have, and it's just the team we're made of. Right? We tell guys you might have 2 this night, but you could easily have 10 the next night. Gives us a lot of balance, and we concentrate on that. Last year was pretty Cam Moore oriented for our offense. He had the ball most of the time. He took most of the shots. Liam Beashall is our leading scorer, but we're really doing a better job of sharing the ball and guys shooting when they're open. Just kind of being more open to other guys. Try not to be a one-trick pony, so to speak.
We're joined by TJ Kwasniak, first-year head coach with the Avon Lake Shoremen, but again, no stranger to local basketball in the greater Cleveland area, northern Ohio. And if I could, Coach, before we let you go today, I wanted to talk a little bit about, you replaced Eric Smith, who retires after, I believe it was 22, maybe 23 seasons at the helm over at Avon Lake. Obviously, a great community to be a part of. What makes the job like that attractive to you in terms of what your basketball resume, because those that are familiar and know the lineage, you have a lot of options, and Avon Lake certainly is a great place to be. But why was this the right time for you?
I'm not a teacher, so my options are limited. So I've always been a small private school guy. Fortunate to grow up playing for my dad and being involved with VASJ since I was born. With Avon Lake, I'm a resident. I moved here. It's why I stopped coaching at Euclid. Couldn't do it from the distance. So I have 2 sons in the district. Just fell in love with the place. Just unbelievable community. You go to the football game, there's 5,000 people. The whole town shows up. Just great support. Kids will run through a wall for you. Tough kids from great homes, great families. Since the day I moved in, everyone's saying, hey, this guy, he's got a year or 2 left. You kind of eyeballed it. And Coach Smith has been unbelievable, putting his arm around me, kind of showing me the ropes. Anything I need, he's always there for a phone call. He was there last night. He's at pretty much all of our games. And we have his assistant, Kevin Fitch, who's been around forever, knows Lorain County basketball like nobody. So those guys have been unbelievable with the transition, really making it easier. But, like you guys said, going 20 years to a new guy, it's going to be different. So I think there's some growing pains, but it's been so fun so far. I don't think our record reflects how good we are. Like I said, we're concentrating on defense. I think the offense will come later in the season. But, as far as me, there's nowhere in the world I'd rather coach than Avon Lake. It's just such a great opportunity. It's 2 minutes from my house. I got my kids at practice every day. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, it's good to have you here, Coach, and we're going to get real acquainted here on these Saturday mornings and on the Friday night, Tuesday night, whatever they might be, evening broadcasts that we have. So very good to catch up with you tonight, and looking forward to doing that throughout the 2025-26 campaign here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show.
Appreciate you guys, man. Love what you guys do.
Thank you. Take
Thanks.
care, Coach.
Take care, Coach.
Thank you.
It's TJ Kwasniak, first-year head coach with the Avon Lake Shoremen. And, Craig, like you mentioned last night, did not have the look of a team that came in winless on the campaign, and they were able to come out in the second half and really turn some heads.
Yeah, second half, it was a tale of two halves. I mean, we say that often throughout the course of the season, and it just couldn't have been more true. It was a low-scoring game. It was a slow-paced game in the first half, but then they came out of the locker room, the Shoremen, and it was a different ball game. They quickly took control of the basketball game right out of the locker room at halftime, and kudos to Avon Lake on picking up the win last night at Midview.
Well, literally and figuratively switching gears. You talk about slow pace. We're going to go fast paced here. We have Jeff Holzhauer in just a moment. On the other side of the break, the victorious head coach of the Keystone Wildcats, and they remain hot. An 82-45 win over Clearview. We'll catch up with Jeff in just a moment, get his thoughts on last night's ball game. Stick around. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, live online at the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel and streaming online at WEOL.com.
At Nick Abraham Buick GMC, we offer the greatest customer experience around, plus upfront, no haggle pricing and great deals. Right now, lease the 2025 GMC Sierra for just $339 a month. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, Cavs radio voice. Recently, we had some trees removed. So again, singing the praises of EcoTree Services. In a few hours, EcoTree had removed the unsightly trees, cleaned the debris, and opened the area for a new fence. I can't say enough good things about the people at EcoTree. I've used them several times, always thrilled with their work. If you have trees that require pruning or need to be removed, contact EcoTree, a local business that deserves your business. They've earned mine. Go to ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Welcome back to the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Jared Kozar along with Craig Couch. And joining us right now on the stage is Jeff Holzhauer with the Keystone Wildcat program. Jeff, another big victory last night, a hot start for you and your boys. You guys are come away with an 82-45 win against Clearview last night. Talk about the fast start. Talk about how you guys did last night in order to push that out and basically double up the clips with 82-45.
First of all, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Kind of the same story as all year. Our guys are playing fast. We get after it defensively. I think we make it really tough on teams to do what they want to do. And we were able to turn Clearview over. I think maybe 18 turnovers I think they had. And we turn a lot of those turnovers into easy points for us. So that's kind of what we've been doing all year. And our two-headed monster continues to roll with Liam had 28 and Colt had 27 last night. So and then they got some good help from their teammates as well. Emery Fedor had a season-high 12 points as well, our big senior who does a lot of great things for us.
Yeah, Jeff, it's great that you mentioned Emery Fedor because you talk about the youth movement over there in Cat Country, and certainly there is that. But it's great to have a guy, especially maybe there's something psychological about it for me as an older school guy that thinks about that. You want that leader, that enforcer, not that there's anything dirty about it, but you want your tough guy to be your senior post at that point, especially when you have so many options to score in the wings.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's nothing dirty about Emery. Like you said, he is a high character kid, and he's the ultimate senior that you want in your program. And he understands where our scoring comes from, and he accepts it. He loves his role. We're continuing to expand his role. At first, last year I said, catch the ball, dunk the ball. That's what I want you to do, Emery. And sometimes he finishes his dunks better than his layups, but he's gotten better. So he had 12 points last night. 4 of them were on dunks. So he gets at least 1 or 2 a game. He's just one of those kids that he jumps well off of 2 feet. He's extremely explosive, maybe the most explosive kid in our school. And he's 6'5", so it's a good combination. And his touch around the rim is getting better, and he's the ultimate senior that you want in that position, understanding what's expected out of him and just being a great teammate.
Coach, I did a couple Keystone games in the past. I think I maybe did one last year, maybe a couple the year before, and it seemed to me, watching a little bit of the JV before the varsity game and then watching the varsity game, that you could see perhaps this type of a team coming together, this type of a season coming together for you. It was on the come, so to speak. Is this basically what you had maybe envisioned a year or two ago, and the group that you have here this year?
Yeah, probably about 10 years ago. So, it's just cool. It's cool because I've been so close to this sophomore and junior class. My son's a sophomore, and he played with the juniors a little bit when he was in, preschool and first and second and third grade. And then we kind of separated, but he's buddies with those guys. I've coached them, the sophomores, the juniors. I've coached the juniors in youth basketball. I've coached them in AAU basketball. So yeah, we've been excited for these years for a long time. And just kind of excited as dads too, just because, now it's our kids, and, I get the benefit of also being the varsity basketball coach, but there's the dad part of it that's great, that you look at these kids like they're all your sons. They're kids that you've worked with, since they could walk, and they've been friends forever. But then you get the flip side of being the varsity basketball coach. And it's really cool. And it's really difficult, and it's really fun. It's all kinds of things wrapped into one. But I'm really trying to enjoy it. And there's a lot of, coaches that have been doing this for a long time, like Alan Januzzi tells me all the time, like, Jeff, just enjoy it. Like, enjoy it. And I'm really trying to.
So let me ask you a question based on something you just said there. How do you handle separating practice and the game, and what you say to your son and what you say to your team during practice, during the game, after the game, in the locker room, and then what you say at home? Where does the conversation stop, or does it stop, or do you continue it at home? I mean, so as a father of a high school athlete myself, where you got to be careful, because you don't want to put too much on your son, but then again, where does the conversation stop? Do you have to cut it off when you leave the high school?
Do you really want to talk about this right now? What I got 5 more minutes to talk about this?
I don't know. I'm just.
I'm joking. I could talk all day.
Yeah.
I could talk all day on this subject. It's hard.
Yeah, I know we don't have that much time, but I think it's an interesting question, simply because I know it's something that I have struggled with my.
It's hard. No, and you're right. It is the constant struggle, and I'm so much better this year than I was last year. We butted heads a lot last year, and it was tough. My son thought he deserved a bigger role on the team than his coach thought. And this year he's fitting in great. Everything that I try to talk is positive with him. And it's, when practice is over, practice is over. If he wants to talk basketball with me, we can talk basketball, but I try not to push it too much, or just try to hit on a couple quick little points that I want to get across. But no, we're doing great together this year. It's been good so far. And it's funny because the kids, I've been coaching the rest of these kids their whole life too. So, they understand the relationship I have with my son, and they understand the relationship I have with all of them. So it is unique. It's unique, and it's different than a lot of other years that I've coached.
And Jeff, I'm going to kind of take us home on something that you mentioned, and it won't be about sons, but it'll be more along the lines about rotation. And, we saw you over at the DeFranco Classic. I think you played 8 guys. I think in a lot of circumstances, you might play 8 people, and everybody's got to be okay with that. How do you blend that together with so many young guys and personalities?
Yeah, I mean, we're still trying to figure out our rotation right now. So, it's a work in progress, and we could play anywhere from 6 to 9, 10 kids. We got all our kids in the last few games. But in crunch time, we're still trying to figure out who we're comfortable with. And, we try to be upfront and honest with our kids all the time. And so they always know their role and they always know what's expected of them. So they're able to deal with that. And I just think honesty is the best way to go about it. And sometimes we don't know who's going to get in the basketball game. You think you have an idea when the game starts, but once the game starts and you see the physicality of it, and then you're trying to figure out who can help me in these different key moments of the game, and it changes from game to game. And we got to constantly communicate with our kids, and we try our best to do that.
Well, Jeff, thanks for taking the time this morning to catch up. Best of luck. It's going to be a tough one Tuesday over at Columbia. We had Josh on earlier. He's really looking forward to that. His guys coming off a win. Your guys coming off a win. Should be a really good basketball environment over there right as the Christmas holiday creeps up on us.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Josh does a great job, and those kids are always well coached, and they're tough kids. So, we get to go over that little gym a little bit, and I know Josh is excited to see us running around and pressuring them all over the floor, and that's what we're going to try to do.
The stage will be rocking Tuesday night. So, Jeff, thanks for joining us. And if we don't catch up with you, and I'm quite confident that we will have a conversation before the Christmas season officially hits us, but if not, all the best to you and your staff and your family. But good luck out there Tuesday night.
Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate you guys.
Likewise, Jeff Holzhauer with the Keystone Wildcats, and hot start and a lot of bright things on the horizon for them, Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see them putting up 82 points on the scoreboard. I just can envision that Keystone Gymnasium with that team putting that many points on the board, how loud that little gym is going to get, and all the other gyms in their conference. I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun basketball to watch.
Well, on the other side of the break, we'll find out more about that conference as Larry Babix is set to take the stage on the other side of this break. He and the Brookside Cardinals, a big win last night over the Oberlin Phoenix. He'll tell us about that and more on the other side of the break. Stick around. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, streaming live on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel and also online at WEOL.com.
At Nick Abraham Buick GMC, we offer the greatest customer experience around, plus upfront, no haggle pricing and great deals. Right now, lease the 2025 GMC Sierra for just $339 a month. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
Lorraine Medina Rural Electric offers a quick and easy way to pay bills online, monitor your daily electric use, and receive updates from your cooperative through SmartHub. Members can sign up for this service at www.lmre.org or contact the LMRE office at 440-647-2133 for more information.
And welcome back to the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Jared Kozar along with Craig Couch, and joining us now on the stage is the head coach of the Brookside Cardinals, victorious head coach, we should say, of the Brookside Cardinals, Larry Babix. His Cardinals, a 96-70 winner over the Oberlin Phoenix last night. Larry, thanks for taking some time this morning to join us.
And
we can see Larry. I think he's got us.
Got the audio issue that we had before.
Is that what's going on here?
I don't know if it's on our end or his end, but last time we had this, forget which coach it was, but he just disconnected, reconnected, and we were A-okay.
Well, I don't know if it's, like I said, we could see him on there, but it may have stopped moving. Oh, we got him now. I think it's renegotiated. Larry, I think we got you now.
Jared, I can't. If you can hear me, I can't hear you.
We can hear you, Coach. Tell you what, I'm going to remove you on here. If you can just click back in on the link, maybe that'll work. Let's see if we can do that. Larry, do you have us? I see him.
Let me just explain real quick to anybody watching or listening. This is new to all of us. So we are, I guess, kind of making our way through the new approach to doing the Saturday Sports Wrap-Up show, and we're going to have some bumps and bruises.
Yeah, worked pretty well for a couple, but yeah.
We're doing all right.
But yeah, I think Larry's going to reconnect with us in just a moment. But while we await Larry trying to get back on here, just talk about the fast start for a team like Keystone. We mentioned in the points that they're putting up. Larry's Brookside Cardinal team is, again, almost 100 points last night with a 96-70 victory over Oberlin. I had the chance to see Larry's team against North Ridgeville. It would have been their lid lifter, about 10 days ago. And they looked really sharp in the first half. Ridgeville was able to, get some control of that game in the second half. But, certainly they picked up right where they left off last year. Larry, do you have us now?
Yeah, I got you, bud. Sorry about that.
Sounds great. No. We're all working through this together. But while we were on the break trying to reconnect with you, I mentioned to Craig and our listeners and viewers that saw you guys go into hostile territory against North Ridgeville last Tuesday in what could not have been a better first half of basketball for you guys to start with. Things got a little bit off track in the second half, but you guys were sharp. It was your first action of the season, and you played really, really well. And that seems to have translated once you got into league play.
Yeah, I mean, Ridgeville's definitely one of the best teams in our area. We always want to challenge our guys. We did that, with our scrimmages in the preseason, obviously opening up with North Ridgeville. I think we've been pretty tested, to enter league play, and, so far so good, in the league. Our guys have responded pretty well, but, we really like this group. We think this group's really, really talented, probably the best group we've had in 5 years. I know people probably didn't expect this because they don't know the names, a lot of them, outside of maybe Mason and a little bit of Alex, but we got 7 guys that we consider all starters. They play a lot of minutes. They play the style we've played, pretty much for 5 years. Throwing in a little bit more zoning this year because we're not right now. Certainly, we're not a good man team, but offensively, they're as talented as we've had, and we've obviously had really good offensive teams. Our last 4 years.
Yeah, and you talk about that, Larry. There's a lot of roster reconstruction, but in past years, at Brookside, it would have been, we had a really good group, and now we're going to have to cultivate that and see what we can get back in the next 5 or 6 seasons. You might not have that type of success. You're reloading. You're not rebuilding anymore, and the expectations couldn't be more up front in front of these young men in terms of what you need them to do and what the commitment level has to be in order to have that kind of success.
Yeah, I mean, that's the message we told them, in our exit meetings. No one's going to expect anything out of you guys this coming year. You lose all your seniors. At that time, we didn't obviously know that we're going to lose Marquise over, to a transfer. So, we lost a lot of our, everything, playing time, scoring, everything off of last year's roster. That was, obviously a pretty good team. But these guys have, waited, came through the system, bided their time. And, they just want their time now. They've earned it. Their names will start to get out there a little bit more as we play game in and game out. And again, they're a hungry group. They're very talented. Again, no seniors, on this roster. But just like the rest of our league, it's not a 2-year plan. Everybody, most of the good players in our league are underclassmen. There's obviously some good seniors. We saw a couple of them last night, but a lot of the talent in this league is, in that junior sophomore class as well. So there's going to be a lot of good basketball, not only this year, but for the, obviously for the foreseeable future.
Coach, I haven't had that much of an opportunity to talk to you over the years, but one thing I know about Brookside and one thing I know about you as a head coach is you're going to put up numbers every single night. You're going to light up the scoreboard one way or another, and you make no bones about it. That is your style of basketball. We're going to put up as many points as we possibly can and come and try and match it. That's basically what it seems to me like the approach is. I'm not saying that defense doesn't exist in your program, but I'm just saying that yours is focused on just scoring as many points as we can, getting as many shots up as we can, and the more shots we put up, the more shots are going to go down. That's it. It's a simple approach. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no secret in how we want to attack and how we want to play, and I don't take any slights towards our defense. I'm our biggest critic of it, but that's how we want to win. We honestly want to outscore you, want to wear you down with our style. We're still waiting on one of our other guys to get back. We need to get a little deeper in the rotation. We need to have a solid 8, I think, the way we want to try to play. But I think a little bit of the difference this year, we got some size, with between Mason and Ethan that like gives us some rim protection. We block a lot of shots this year, do it without fouling, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, our focus is always offensive. I mean, again, we have 7 starters, and if you leave them open, they're shooting the basketball, and they will, they know that. Like, we don't need to make 3, 4, 7 passes. Like, we're not cute. You're open, you shoot it, but you have to also try to rebound, because we do miss a lot. But if we can get the more possessions in a game, the better off we're going to be. We're not going to win a lot of low scoring games. So, we need the games in the 70s, 80s, 90s, obviously. And when we're doing that kind of stuff, the kids play with a lot of energy. They make a lot of points. We get a lot of runs. We always tell them, punch, take your punch back, just keep fighting. 32 minutes. I mean, this is how we practice every day. We're up and down, at least an hour scrimmaging every day. But like I told them last night, you're still in the beginning of the year, even though we've been at this since Halloween. We got to let them play a little bit more in practice. We're stopping them to correct things. And then, your conditioning's not what it needs to be. And they kind of just need to learn through those mistakes while you're practicing. So I just got to kind of shut my mouth, let them practice and let them get their conditioning in. Cause I'm not a big, get on the line and run guy. Like we run all the time at practice. Like we're doing something, there's not a lot of stand around, we don't install a lot of stuff. Again, when you're open, you shoot the ball, do some different things against zone than you do man, but the same thing. We see zone, we want to shoot the ball. We see man, we want to shoot the ball. We get pressed, we want to beat it for a 3 or beat it for a layup. So it's, the kids been in the program, they know the philosophy and how we want to play, and they love to play in that style. So as long as they're playing hard and, doing the best they can to share the ball and give us some effort on the defensive end and rebounding, then, we're a pretty solid team.
Coach, I'm listening to you talking. I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a young man, if I'm in 7th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, maybe, and I'm looking at a varsity basketball team who wins games by keeping the score low, playing really good defense, and they eke out those 46-42 wins. Or I'm watching a team that pushes the ball up and down the floor, wants to play fast, wants to put a bunch of points on the board. Kids can put up shots, and no one's going to object really to those shots. Which team am I going to be more excited to play for? The one that's out there grinding every single night to win a 3-point game in the low 40s, or the one that wants to put as many points on the board as possible? I'm going to want to play for the team that wants to put as many points on the board as possible. I want to be running up and down the floor, having fun and throwing up shots and knowing that I'm not going to get in a bunch of trouble for taking a 3-pointer. That I might get in trouble if I'm on the other team that's focusing strictly on defense. So the whole point of me saying this is, has your approach, has your style brought kids in? Does it help to bring kids into the program and get them interested in varsity basketball?
Yeah, I mean, because obviously we try to do it throughout, from 7th grade up. We want our guys to, have that freedom of, just playing basketball. I mean, kids play better, like, again, I'm gonna sound like an old guy. They don't really go to the parks and play anymore. But when they're playing with their buddies or whatever in an open gym, or the gym's available, they're just running and gunning. Ain't nobody talking about defense or midline or anything like that. But again, to your thing, I think it's a lot on the kids' mentality. There's kids in our league who I know dig in and love to play defense and would love to play and to win games 30-29. But I would think the majority want to get their shots up, and you know how kids are. I mean, they're perceived that they had a good game by how much they scored. I really would love to be able to have a stat, and I'm just using Mason last night. He had 34 points and he played great defense. He honestly did. But You know, if he had a bad defensive game, okay, yeah, you had 34, but you gave up 36. You know what I mean? Like there's not that stat for the kids that, you know, we have a Noah Muniz who does all the dirty work for us, you know, set screens, shoots the ball, he just doesn't get a lot of shots, rebounds, usually has to guard, you know, the other team's best defender or best offensive player, you know, and he's scoring probably 6 points a game. And people are like, oh, okay, well, he's like your sixth, seventh best player. No, I mean, he's just as important as the guys that are scoring 20 a game right now, you know. And that's the unfortunate part of high school basketball, at least, is, you know, you're measured so much on, you know, oh, he's a great player because he's averaging 20 a game, but what is he doing on the defense end? And again, some guys just aren't that good defensively, but if the effort's there, you can live with it as a coach because, you know, that just may not be their talent. You know, not every guy is created equal. Not everybody's a 25-point scorer. You know, not everybody's a lockdown defender. So, you know, it's just really celebrating your role, accepting your role, and understanding your role. And you know, in the end, all we care about is that Brookside has more points at the end of the game than our opponent did. I don't care who scored them.
Yeah, that's that plus minus column that you're talking about. And for some kids, they might not put up a lot of points, like you said. But when you look at that plus minus column, they have a big plus on there because of the defensive effort, turnovers, 50-50 balls, etc., rebounds, so on and so forth. So I totally understand what you're saying. And it absolutely does matter. And it does play a part in winning basketball games, no doubt.
Larry, we got to get going here with a couple other things. Thank you for joining us. Certainly an impressive victory last night. Like I said, saw your team against Ridgeville and thought if that's what they can do in one half of basketball and it's their first half, look out, especially once you get in the league play. I think we're starting to see that materialize. I know that it's probably not where you and Coach Kelly expect it to be right now, but in a couple weeks, I think you'll be right where you envisioned.
Yeah, no, we're excited. We got a lot of room to grow. Again, we're 3-1, 3-0 in the league, which is the most important. In a very, very good league. Which again, I heard Josh talk earlier. You know, there's no night you underestimate somebody and you're going to lose the league. It's that simple. So, yeah, but we got a lot of room to growth and we're excited. And again, we appreciate you guys having us and everything you guys do. Sorry for the technology stuff. You guys know I lose sleep over this more than I do my games. So hopefully next time we won't have no issue.
Right on, Larry. That's Larry Babbage with the Brookside Cardinals. And yeah, we'll get some of that tech stuff ironed out because I know that we're going to be talking to you a lot as the season rolls along, Coach. So thanks for spending some time with us this morning and good luck in your week ahead. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Take care. Larry Babbage with the Brookside Cardinals. And we're going to transition right over to Pat Bray of the Amherst Comets. And this is, on the fly. We're going to do this right now and see how this works, talking about the tech. So, Pat, good morning. Thanks for being patient. And, boy, Craig and I were discussing it last night via text. You guys maybe had, close to, if not, the win of the night, a very talented Berea Mid-Park team, and you guys come away with a 73-68 victory. Tell us how it went down.
Well, we came out and we talk about it all the time. You know, we got to be who we are. And last night we picked and choose when we went at them, and we doubled them at times, got them to turn the ball over once in a while. And then offensively, we played fast. And, we talk about it. We got to make shots. And Stanley Robinson stepped up big in the third quarter for us, knocking down some big, huge shots. But overall, it was just a big team effort and big team win.
So we talked about it with Coach Delisio of Olmsted Falls earlier. He had a win over Elyria last night. And again, coaching cliche, you can't win the conference in the second week of December. You can't lose it either, but you can make everybody, you can put people on notice that you guys are, setting the expectations for yourself and showing everybody in the league who the Amherst Comets really are.
Right. You said you can't win it and you can't lose it, but we talked about it. The last couple of years we've started off 0-1 in the conference, and then it feels like we're trying to trudge uphill to try to get back in that race. So I agree with you can't win or lose it, but you sort of can sort of put yourself on in a good mindset. You get that first conference victory, and you sort of we know what the SWC brings every night that you play in an SWC game. Anyone can beat anyone on a given night, and you can see our conference. I mean, everyone is a good team out there, and you can't take one day off.
Well, we also talked about statement games, and that was something I came up with, of course, but
works.
it might be a little early to talk about statement games. I mean, how many games have you played? 4 or 5? That's all anybody has played, right? And it's the first conference game of the season. So maybe a little early for that. But then again, Berea Mid-Park was a heck of a basketball team last year. I'm sure they're a heck of a basketball team this year. They averaged something like 89 points per game last year, and they were young. If I remember correctly, I think they started 4 sophomores and a senior. So they're going to be young again this year. And I don't know if they've lost anybody. I haven't seen them yet, but I know that they like to run up and down the floor. They love to shoot the basketball. And if you're going up against Berea Mid-Park, you're going to be facing an offense that is able to put up a lot of points in a short amount of time. So you really have to come and play some defense. You got to be geared up to play some defense. So, whether or not it was a statement win, I don't know. I guess that's up to your opinion and everybody else. But, you put up a terrific defensive effort from what I could see. Now, some would say 68 points. You call that a great defensive effort?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Against Berea Mid-Park, that is a terrific defensive effort. So could you talk a little bit about your approach going into the game from the defensive side of your plan?
Yeah, you said it correctly. We know they're going to jack up a lot of shots. We talked about it. I'm a big, analytics guy as far as I'm a math teacher. So, I talk about everybody's going to make 33% at least. Good guys make about 40%, but that still means they're missing more than they're making. So we know they're going to make probably 1 out of every 3, but we got to limit those. We can't give them offensive rebounds. We got to, if they get an offensive rebound, that's another chance of getting closer to making, that next one. And so, last night we talked about, we had to control the boards. And we had to limit them to their shots. And like you said, 68 points, that's still quite a bit of points. But for a Berea Mid-Park, for us, that was a good defensive effort last night to hold them to 68.
Oh, absolutely.
Pat, I think a lot of people are familiar with some of the names on your roster. The guy you mentioned to really lead things off was Stanley Robinson. And you talked about a young man who I remember when he first came on the scene at Amherst, he got minutes as a freshman. And I'm like, well, this guy's kind of a one-trick pony. He's here to shoot. And now 2 years later, that's no longer the case. That young man's there to play defense, facilitate parts of the offense, push the ball, and really put his teammates in good positions to make shots. And certainly he can still knock them down too. So I've been kind of impressed with his evolution over the years. And it's really interesting because there's so much other talent and ways that Amherst can be effective. But a guy like that has quite literally grown up in front of our eyes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, me and Stanley see eye to eye. Literally, we see eye to eye, both being small guys. And we've talked about it for the last couple years coming up, saying, most nights you're not going to have to worry about double teams and stuff like that. So when they are doubling other guys, that's your chance to step out and knock down your shots. And then last night, a couple times he was able to get to the hole and finish. And how that happens. When you start seeing that ball go through, it just starts to build and build, and you just start feeling it. And last night in that third quarter, Stanley started feeling it. He was getting those one-on-ones and was able to get to the rim. Then when they backed off him, he dropped down some threes, and he was huge for us in that third quarter last night.
Coach, I think I remember. I'm putting myself on the spot here, and I could end up being wrong. That's all right. I'm not going to be embarrassed about it.
It's happened before?
No, it's happened many times. But so a long time ago, I remember coaching against Stanley. He was playing for an Amherst team, and my son was playing in what was it called? The NRTBA, North Regional Travel Basketball Association. We played an SWC schedule, and we played an Amherst team. And Stanley Robinson was on the Amherst team, and he was the point guard, and he was the shortest kid on the floor, but he was clearly the leader on the floor. And we're talking 6th grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. So he had that leadership gene, if you will, in him, going all the way back to his youngest years in basketball.
Yeah, and that's what Stanley's learned. He's learned that he's the littler guy, but he's learned how to use that to his advantage. He's really shifty. He understands how to shake a guy off and sort of get that step on him, get to the rim. And then, when guys start helping, then he knows how to distribute the ball to his teammates. And, that's what's made him so good over these years.
Coach, we appreciate it. We're up against it a little bit. Thanks for making the time. Certainly when we saw that score, we knew we had to have you on, and you were kind enough to oblige this morning, sort of last minute. So hopefully we didn't throw off your morning routine too much. Certainly good to catch up with you, and we look forward to doing that down the road as much as possible this campaign.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Next time we got to get more time so we can talk fishing again.
Well, we weren't gonna leave without the fishing report. No, not a good one really this week because what we got going on weather-wise. But something tells me that you might find a break in there next week when I see the return to the 40s in the forecast for the first time in what feels like a long time.
Oh yeah, and the boys are home, so we'll get out a couple times over this Christmas break.
I can't wait to hear some of those stories, and certainly you guys are great social media follows. So if you want to see what's going on in the Bray household and what they're hauling in, just find them. They'll be glad to show it to you.
Great talking to you guys.
Our pleasure. Thanks, Coach. That's Pat Bray with the Amherst Comets. Stick around. It's going to be a quick transition after a commercial break. We're going to bring in Jason Smith with EC. His team gets a conference win over Holy Name last night in a big way. He's going to discuss it on the other side of the break. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show live on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel and online at WEOL.com.
At Nick Abraham Buick GMC, we offer the greatest customer experience around, plus upfront, no haggle pricing and great deals. Right now, lease the 2025 GMC Sierra for just $339 a month. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Welcome back to the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Jared Kozar along with Craig Couch. Joining us now is going to be the lead man over at Elyria Catholic, Jason Smith. Coach, good morning. Welcome to the program. You have a big win last night over Holy Name, 92-65.
Yeah, morning, guys. Yeah, it's good to get conference play started with a big win like that.
Coach, now in your second full year, full time with the program, being able to have your stamp on this, and you mentioned that, set the tone for the conference, and coming off of a win last week, they got guys caught up with you on the wrap up last week, and we're back talking to you consecutive Saturdays. That means good things are happening over at Elyria Catholic, and you're going the right direction, and certainly a big conference win over a team that I think it means a lot for the Panther family and the alums to beat Holy Name. I think that's a bigger rivalry than many would give it credit for.
Yeah, it really is. And not a lot of people know about that rivalry outside of EC. But we've been in a conference with them for the majority of 20 years. So great rivalry, great staff over there, know them well. Their kids play super hard. I mean, they tons of energy. It was a great test for us to be able to come out after that big loss to Ridgeville and be able to pick ourselves back up and face that type of full court pressure and be able to achieve. So it was good.
Coach, looking at the scoreboard here that I have over here to my right, there's some pretty big numbers. Of course, Brookside 96, no surprise, right? Keystone put up 82. EC puts up 92 points. I mean, that's a lot of scoring. Is that just because that's how that game was played, or is that the style of basketball you want to play throughout the course of the season?
Well, it's a lot of it was style, but we want to be a high scoring team. We're not gonna sit here and just chuck a bunch of threes and live and die by the 3-point shot. We don't play like that. I think we only made 4 3-pointers, but we had 37 2-pointers. So we're a slashing team. We like to run and gun. We like to get up the court and transition fast, move the ball fast, and attack. And if we're hitting threes, it's because we're attacking well. We're getting in and finding the open shot and the open player. But our guys just moved the ball so well yesterday. It was just a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, there were so many possessions where the ball didn't even touch the court. It was just rebound, pass, layup constantly.
That's beautiful basketball right there.
It really is. And that's what we're shooting for. And to see them kind of put that all together and bounce back like they did, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Let me ask you, how do you get your kids to play that way? Because I think it's probably a challenge. I mean, we live in a society where kids turn on YouTube and they see this guy doing that guy doing that, and everybody wants to be that guy who puts up 35, 40 points in the game, carries his team to victory. But how do you change that way of thinking into pass, find the open man, let's get it down the floor. And you know what? If we can get it down the floor and get some points without the ball touching the hardwood, that's what we're aiming for. So how do you change that I guess, how do you change that mindset from someone wanting to be the man for the game and saying, look, that's not what we're going to do here. Everybody's going to be the man, and we're going to do it by sharing the basketball.
Honestly, it started a month and a half ago, and it started before we even stepped foot on the court. Before our first week of practice, we interviewed each one of the players, and after winning only 5 games last season, we asked every single one of them, what's your goal this season? And just to kind of figure out, are they the team that, I want to average 20 a game. I want to, hit 5 threes. I want to do this, I want to do that. Every single player said the exact same thing. I want to win. I want to win. Never experienced winning, and I want to win. So from the get-go, the mindset and mentality was set by them, winning at all costs. And if that means that somebody's not going to score much this day because this guy's hot or because the style of game is going to be different, so be it. But once you set that mindset, the rest of it's easy because we watch a ton of film and we go over, exactly what you're saying, the bad shots, we always talk about hunting the great shots, giving up the good one and getting the great one. And when you see that and it's like, oh, that does work. And we see how we pass the ball up the court versus we sit here and we dribble the ball through a full court man press. You see it's turnovers. And it's not rocket science, right? It's not rocket science. So you set the expectations with the goals and the mindset, and then you layer it in with the film. And these guys are they're getting it and they're clicking. They're all bought in. It's great to see.
Well, I gotta imagine it's easier to get people to commit when you're giving them something that they want, as opposed to maybe shoving something down their throat that they don't want.
Yeah, that's it. We're not going to run a style that doesn't fit our team. If we had a bunch of knockdown shooters, this would probably be a completely different team and the way we do things. But the way that these guys play and the way that they want to play and their IQ, this is the style that works for them. So we don't want to put barriers around them, but we also want to make sure that they're playing within the system and playing within each other. We're not going to sit here and play hero ball all game. We're going to make sure everybody's involved. Everybody scored in our team and scored multiple points. So that's a great sign. That's not the first time this has happened. I mean, this is multiple games where we get scoring from across the board. So, from a scouting standpoint, it's, who are you going to stop? Jazeera had 21 last night and Matisse had 14, but Matisse was the leading scorer a couple of games. Purvey Smallwood's been a leading scorer. Donnie Shumpert's been a leading scorer. Like, that's what we're kind of looking for with this is be able to spread that out.
Well, and I think you get everybody bought in when everybody can look at the score sheet and say, hey, I contributed. And now they are bought into the whole program. They're bought into the philosophy. And you get this kind of snowball effect as the season goes along.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And our key focus this week has just been effort, too. I think we walked into Ridgeville this week and thought we can just show up and win. And it was exactly what we needed, and they responded so well in practice this week. Just the effort, the energy, it was just back and they're hungry. And that's what you want. You want a team that's hungry. You want a team that's going to give everything they got. And, once you have that, everything's going to go smooth, in my opinion.
Boy, it's something that I caught there, Coach, that I think warrants mentioning. The 4 names you mentioned, those guys have been involved in the program for a few years now. And they're getting better in terms of they started out good. Each of them had a skill set. And now you're trying to amplify that to the point where you can see the improvement.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's knowing what that skill set is and not trying to be anything more than that. And, we don't need that one guy to score 30 a night for us. And we don't need that guy to hit 10 threes a night. And, we need everybody to lock in on defense. We need to get a stop. And that's our offense. Our offense starts with that stop. One shot and out. And that's our success in the second half yesterday came in that third quarter when it was just one shot, rebound, and go, 2 passes, layup, 3 passes, layup. So that's our biggest offensive threat is just our ability to rebound and get out and push. So if we're not doing that, rebounding is all effort. So, you got to bring it. You got to bring that effort. You got to get that rebound. You got to end the possession and then go. So.
Throughout, I mean, really, kind of Craig and I are dating ourselves, but we'll lump you in that same boat right now, Coach, for just a moment. Over the course of the past really 20 plus years, you've been in a unique situation to help Elyria Catholic at certain times as a player, as an interim coach, and then as a coach that took over kind of late in the game last year. Now you get the full year and everybody knows what the expectations are, what's coming. what makes this the right situation for you, and why are you always willing to kind of step back in to that sort of out of the frying pan into the fire situation?
I don't know. My wife shakes her head all the time when we talk about that. I don't know. But no, I love it, man. I love this game. I've been in love with this game my whole life, and I love this school. And my daughter's a freshman here. My boys are going to be coming here. I want to see this program succeed. When I was here, it was the prime of basketball at EC. The gym was sold out every night. We were ranked in the state. We were competing for a state championship, and I want to get this program back to that. And that desire it's just been burning in me ever since I graduated, is to get this program, back to that elite status. And, these guys are going to be the foundation for that and the framework for that. And we've already talked to, we got Purvey as a senior, really our only senior playing right now. We got Alex Rodriguez, who's injured. But we've talked to Purvey and Alex just about being a part of this program after they graduate. This isn't a 4-year thing and then you're done. This is a family, and we want you back. And, it's just been so great coming back and hearing from all the alumni from EC, just being so proud of this program and the support that they're giving, and guys who I played with. I ran into Mike Clapham at the North Ridgeville game, played with him for 4 years. It was great to see him again. And, just hearing from all those guys again, it's just awesome. And being able to share those stories with this team, and, having them start to develop their own stories that they're going to be able to share with their kids and their friends and family and everything else. So I love what I'm doing here. This just gives me so much joy, and I can't wait for our next game against Lorraine. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'll come quicker than obviously, against Lorraine, and that they need to find maybe their way right now as far as moving over to that Greater Cleveland Conference has been difficult on them so far. So to play a team that's 4 miles away instead of 44, probably going to be something that it at the very minimum will generate a nice crowd. So we're looking forward to that one as well, Coach.
Yeah, can't wait. Should be a great crowd. I love playing Lorraine County teams, and it's good to support that.
So, well, all the best in that one, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for taking the time to catch up with us. Congratulations on the win last night, and success to come for your Panther program in the future.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Have a great day. Thanks.
You too, Jason. Jason Smith with the Elyria Catholic Panthers. And again, Greg, there's a guy, like we said, did it as a player, has done it as a coach, has done it as a coach again, and kind of really gets what the whole process is as far as begin with the end in mind. I think it says that in the Coliseum somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some coaches out there, and we talk to a lot of great coaches, and we are lucky to have the coaches in this area that we have, because I think we have a lot of great coaches, but there are some that stand out. And you can feel that energy when we talk to them. And Jason Smith is no doubt one of them. His energy stands out. Larry Babick, again, love his energy. He's always said, we're just going to go out there and we're going to outpunch you. We're going to outscore you. And that's just how we roll. And he makes no bones about it. You have to respect that. You love talking to some of these guys, and you just draw energy off of them. And of course, another favorite for me to talk to every week or whatever we can is the coach at Amherst.
You're just talking Pat Bray, yeah.
Pat Bray.
Yeah, Pat Bray does
he's
remarkable work. Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable work. And how could you not want to play for one of those three guys?
Well, sure. Jeff Holzhauer. He's almost one step away from putting the uniform back on and going out there.
Right.
See if there's more eligibility. Same
right.
type of bravado and personality that you talk about when you want to do that. So we are lucky to have those personalities. We're also lucky to talk about the schedule. We'll do that on the other side of this break. One more to squeeze in before we wrap it up because of the abbreviated program today. We'll talk to you about that on the other side of the break. Stick around.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy. This month, get 0% on all 2025 Ford F-150s, including Lightning, regular cabs, super cabs, and Super Duties, plus all Explorers and Escapes. Stop in or shop us at buyabraham.com.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about EcoTree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted EcoTree. They did an incredible job. The folks at EcoTree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact EcoTree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find EcoTree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County Community College is where you'll lock in your future success. LCCC will get you prepared, get you credentialed, and get you working. Lorain County Community College. Your goals, your career, your future. Enroll today.
Lorraine Medina Rural Electric offers a quick and easy way to pay bills online, monitor your daily electric use, and receive updates from your cooperative through SmartHub. Members can sign up for this service at www.lmre.org or contact the LMRE office at 440-647-2133 for more information.
Quickly looking to wrap up this edition of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Girls basketball this afternoon online at the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel and also online at WEOL.com. It'll be Wellington making the trip over to Brookside. Jed Matcham will join me and Gary Pelter over there in, just a few minutes, actually, as we make the trip over just a little bit north. So, but otherwise, Craig, a loaded slate of girls hoops in our area.
Oberlin at Clearview, Black River at Firelands, Ridgeville at Avon, Midview at Avon Lake, Oak Falls at Elyria. Yeah, you said it, a loaded schedule.
Holy Name at EC on the girls' side later this afternoon. Open Door is at Crestline, Columbia. They're taking on Hoban in the Hoban Hoops Fest. So kind of unorthodox to have that sort of a matchup this early in the season. But Lady Raiders will be tested this afternoon. We'll see what they have. Boys basketball, it'll be Edison at Vermilion later this evening, along with Oberlin making the trip over to Lake Ridge. Before we go, I want to thank the sponsors one last time. The Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show was brought to you live online at WEOL.com and the CT YouTube channel by the folks over at Nick Abraham Buick GMC and Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, located at Route 57 and East Broad Street in Elyria. Lorain County Community College, real education for good jobs. The Lorain Medina Rural Electrical Cooperative, your touch-tone energy partner. And by EcoTree Services, your complete tree care company. For Craig Couch, I'm Jared Kozar. Craig, great to work with you again on the wrap-up show. It had been a little while. We're going to work you back into this program, right. And it was just a pleasure to have you come in and help out today. And looking forward to having you on the schedule throughout the 2025-26 campaign here and there. You begrudgingly, I think, agreed to a month. Don't tell Holly.
Well, hey, thank you very much for having me on. Thanks for grabbing the sandwich on the way in.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. And next time I do this, I'm bringing my own pot of coffee, and it's going to be right there. The coffee maker is going to be right in front of me.
We will make it happen. Stick around. Coming your way again on WEOL.com and the CT YouTube channel later this afternoon. Coming up at high noon, it'll be Wellington and Brookside girls basketball. We'll see you then.